on Wednesday, December 11th. This is Westchester Borough Smart Growth Committee meeting. I'm Nicole Shimoni, the chair, and I'm here with Bernie Flynn. Lisa Dorsey is unable to make the meeting tonight. We're calling the meeting to order, and we'll start with any announcements. Seeing none. Any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance? Okay, well then we'll start with the director's report.
Okay. For land development applications, we had one new application for 210-214 West Washington Street. It has gone before the Planning Commission. It's scheduled to go back before the Planning Commission. However, it's been determined that a variance will be needed for impervious coverage. Okay. We've also received a 60-day extension from the developer for 410 South High Street. In terms of the statistics, for rental inspections, we had 23 performed. We issued 41 permits. We had 5 property maintenance cases reported. We received 0 disruptive conduct reports for the month of November. We issued 0 citations and 6 trash tickets. You want to do the 4A? Please hold.
Sally, while he's looking, can you tell me the types of permits that were issued? Basically, if we did 41 of them, that's an awful lot in a month. What type of, are they structures or fences or porches or what are they? Do you don't?
I mean, they're a mixture of residential, it smells very loud, residential and commercial. The attachment is in the packet. We can bring that up.
That'd be interesting to see, because I saw them start to work on the new restaurant in town today, the Dum Sum
Okay.
restaurant. They just dim sum. There you go. I was close. I had every dim and dum in there, but I noticed that they boarded up the building and they're starting to work finally. So that's probably one of the permits.
Okay. Let me see. Hold on, it's called last month. There it is. Last month, no, one down. Permit submitted November. Let's see where we. Yeah, thank you. So you can see here there's permits for roof. There's replacing existing decks, frames, roof structures. We have adding lights to signs, house renovations, another re-roofing project, a solar roof. Bill, could you scroll down, please? We have a sewer repair, water source replacement for Aqua, a mechanical permit for a kitchen hood replacement. A lot of roofs, re-single roof, in-kind replacement of a church chiller. Another painted sign on a existing stucco. Plumbing permit, added apartment above a garage, roofing. Another replacement for Aqua, HVAC, roofing again, interior renovations. Yeah, is that the address, Bernie? I don't know the Steve Stake, electrical equipment replacement, another HVAC. I'm not aware yet of the dim sum, but I'll let you know. Okay, I can look on our current.
The old Lorento's.
Yeah,
Lorento's.
yeah.
Okay.
Forgot
So-
that great dance dress. Yeah, sweet. That best dress. No.
Either can I. 50,
A picture somewhere.
we have pictures, but 50 years ago, I graduated from college and I looked at, somehow I opened up an album and I had pictures of me like going to high school proms. I'm saying, who is that person other than me? It's amazing how your mind, but anyway, that goes back to what the dim sum is. It was
Okay.
used to be a dress shop and a tuxedo place, Lorenzo's.
I know there's a new restaurant opening called Jolene's, which we will be performing an inspection on next week.
Amen.
That's the one in the new hotel, right, Jolene?
Right next door.
Yeah, okay.
It's right next door. And to touch on that, for the work session, I will be bringing council a contract for a third party building code official assistance help from a company called Building Inspection Underwriters, so that they can inspect the hotel on Monday, as well as Jolene's and the dim sum, and keep the processes moving. So council has made some edits to the contract. I'm going back tomorrow with the company's president to review those edits. I feel they're pretty minor, so hopefully it won't be an issue. And then we can present that to council and get those inspections started as soon as possible next week.
That was my question, under other, but is it an hourly rate that they're going to charge us, or is it per inspection, or how's the billing going to be going?
It's both. So for the hotel, there'll be a supplemental hourly rate of, I believe, $75 an hour. And then for moving forward for plan review and issuing permits, it's going to be a permit fee, where we would pay them a percentage of our permit. That fee is not yet finalized. He's going to provide recommendations to me on Friday, and the intent is so that the borough does not go into the red. So we're going to probably have requests an amended fee schedule to council, and I would present the new building permit fees to you at that time so that it equals out.
We're permitted, right, to recoup all of our expenses and that way.
We are under the UCC for building permits, so we can raise those permits for this expense, raise the cost of those permits for this expense.
Excellent. Good. That's great news.
Okay, yes,
Great news.
thank you. And then also in the January session, this organization and this gentleman in particular, Kyle Bender, would be appointed. We would request that council would appoint him as the assistant building code official, so we always have two in place. Okay, thank you. Also regarding, it said staffing update. I just want to alert the committee that I have identified a candidate to replace for Mr. Hess's position. I'm just working on scheduling a final second interview with my team, and hopefully we'll be extending a job offer before Christmas.
And what type of training will that person receive, or is it online training, or do they go into a classroom and do what they need to learn?
They don't go into a classroom. There will be computer training by our data manager for our operating system, but then they're going to work in the field with the new third-party building code official and be trained directly by him.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent news.
Okay. I also wanted to touch on the short-term rental process. Why I'm here, I wanted to let you know that we are in the process this week of sending out notice of violations to the properties located in the districts other than town center. So it's a total of 16 between NC1, NC2, and the mixed use district. We also are sending out a slightly different letter to those operating in the town center, letting them know that they are also in violation. However, they can apply beginning on December 23rd to the zoning hearing process, to the zoning hearing board for a special exception. So that's a slightly different letter that is being sent as well. Okay.
And from my understanding, December 23rd is the application date that it opens up, and it's all in-person application, no online application right now
Yes.
as we stand this up.
It's in person because a $500 application fee needs to be to be accompanied with the application, and we don't have a mechanism yet that for it to be paid online. So we're asking that people come in person, hand in the application. I've worked with the zoning hearing board solicitor, and we've created an application because the borough didn't have an application. It was more in the form of a letter, and we provided guidance on that letter. But we now have created an application, and that will go live sometime next week on the website. So you will bring in the application with the $500 check. And then as long as the application's filled out correctly and you have the check, you will be placed in the queue.
Okay, so are we going to have someone sitting in the room over there that does a timestamp on the applications and puts a number on them so that we know who 1 through 20 in line, like we do with the parking permits?
Yep, I've talked to Mr. Metric about that, and we've made he's talked to the entire frontline staff at the window, because it also involves other departments other than mine. There will be coverage every day during the holidays, so there's always going to be someone at the window. But whoever is at the window will be trained, whether it's myself or someone in parking or finance. They have the time stamped, and as long as they stamp it, I can place them in order and then contact the applicants and say, this is correct, you're in the queue. This is not correct, you're not in the queue, and go from there.
It's going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We worked on it for 3
Happy
years.
holidays to you.
Yeah, that's good. Because there has to be some organization on collection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's not going to be like a Taylor Swift concert. There aren't that many in town center.
Right.
But they know that we're only giving out 20 tickets to the show. So they're going to make sure that they're,
Mm-hmm.
The question I do have is it, Mr. Metric, is a little bit of a question you may want to opine on. Say I have 5 short-term rentals in the in town center. Can I stand there and hand you all 5 applications and take up a quarter of the availabilities?
I think that's an excellent question. I'm going to double check with the solicitor, but if I had to give you an answer, I would say yes, as long as there's a $500 check for every application and there's a separate application for each property. I would be inclined to accept that, but that's a great question. I'll double check with our solicitor.
All right, to totally piss off people. If I have 20 of them
Right.
in town, I stand at the window and hand you 20 applications?
Because
We know it's not there. We know that one person doesn't have to.
right.
But am I allowed to bring it? This is what ifs, because it's amazing when you're retired, what you think about. Am I allowed, can I only drop off my short-term rental applications, or like when you go to vote, you can only drop off your vote into the box?
I mean, I'm lenient. I mean, if you want to if someone trusts you to bring in theirs as well as yours, and you want to hand me, 3 at one time, as long as they're all filled out completely and there's 3 separate checks, I would be inclined to timestamp each one.
It could be a good business for you if you solicit all the people that camp out.
Take 10%. Take 10%. I'll be the most popular guy for an hour. It's just things that we've gotten to the finish line now. And I was sitting thinking, wow, if I had more than one, I could stand there and, I know some people have more than one. And I was just curious of how that would work.
I mean, I don't see how the ordinance prohibits that. So I would be inclined to take them if they're correctly filled out and with a check. And then right, Mr. Rencher?
Yeah, we would take it in the order received and evaluate it quickly for completeness. And any completed application would be valid at the date and time that it was received and would proceed from there. And until we had issued 20 total permits for this type of use in the town center. And that process is going to take a couple months because you've got a zoning hearing to get through, and then you have a rental license application process to get through. I mean, a couple months is being ambitious. And we also have done a pretty good job of tracking by looking at VRBO and other websites that the other one's escaping me right now, where you can rent rooms in town. And we believe there to be 10 of these units operating in the town center today. And so we feel pretty comfortable with how things are set up right now.
What stimulated the conversation was somebody approached me and says, well, I have 3.
Okay.
And I went, huh, okay, you got 3. Now, can you have 3 permits? And now we've answered it tonight. I know nothing was in the ordinance that you couldn't have more than
Right.
1. But standing at the window, I didn't know if I had to give you 1, go to the back of the line, come back with my second one, but I could do all 3 at one.
I mean, I would be inclined to take all 3 at once. I will double check. It's a fair question to ask with counsel and get her opinion, but I would be inclined if they're all have each 3 separate checks and applications filled out correctly, why not?
Okay, great. So we know. Thank you.
And again, just in case there's any confusion, it's not by building, it's by units.
Right.
So, somebody could have a building with a couple of units in there, and so
Yeah.
they could show up with a couple of apps.
Mhm. No, these are great
It's
questions.
amazing what happens when Nicole normally does all the thinking for me, but and she corrects my grammar, which I love. But
Just the name of the type of restaurant.
Dim sum.
Dim sum.
Anyway, so that was good questions. And that way people, will know what's going to happen when it goes live.
And we'll place the application next week on the website and also educate the public that the zoning hearing board does have 60 days to schedule your hearing. And then from there, they have 45 days to issue a decision. So, it is a process. And so I'll make sure that's on the website as well, because most people would think it would be more of an instant, hey, I applied, why aren't I hearing back right away? So I want to make them aware of the timeline that could occur.
So for the people that are in the town center, going back to like number 25, let's say that applies, right?
Okay.
During this 60, 45 days,
Mhm.
will they, if they're 25, will they get a cease and desist letter, or will we let the process play out before we start issuing the ones to those that don't get over that hurdle of 20 units?
That's a great question. I've been meaning to follow up with the solicitor on that question. If I had to give you an answer tonight, my recommendation would be let the process play out. Because I wouldn't want to give someone a cease and desist letter if the zoning hearing board has only, let's say, between their meetings, approved 3, right? So to be fair, I would wait until the 20 have been approved by the zoning hearing board, and then those that were not approved in town center would receive the letter. But Mr. Metrick, do you have thoughts on that? These are great questions, but we just are still thinking them through.
We only know the 10 units that we know about. So they're going to be put on notice to come get a permit. And if we discover others, we'll deal with them in that same workflow. Let them know that they have to come into compliance.
I think if you've applied, that shows a good intent on your part, right? So, and if we're not at that 20 number yet, I would be inclined to not send them a cease and desist letter at this time. But again, these are all questions that I need to confer with Ms. Camp about.
Yep, sounds like a fair answer. I agree. Yeah.
Right?
It's amazing when I start thinking, I'm wide awake now. In the event that, say there's 15,
Okay.
and I decide that right now, today, I don't have a short-term rental. Can I come in, and I have an apartment building or have apartments, can I come in and buy a short-term rental license, like a liquor license, and hold it in abeyance?
Another great question for council. I would have to say, I don't believe so. I think you would have to have a property to apply for the zoning hearing board, right?
Well, I have a property.
You have a
I have a
property,
property.
you bought a property.
311 West Minor Street, which
Okay.
is my apartment, but I haven't rented full-time now. And I'm deciding that, you know what? It's probably more financially beneficial if I go short-term rental. So it's like buying a liquor license.
Mhm.
Because they're all floating around the borough with liquor licenses. Can I buy a short-term rental permit for $500 and just sit on it, to determine whether I want to use it or not.
I like playing the attorney. I would say yes. As long as you meet the,
Attorney.
Yeah.
I'm getting yes on a lot of stuff.
I would say yes, as long as you've met the requirements of the application, the zoning hearing board, that paid the application, and then you get approved by the ZHB. I don't see where it says, you cannot.
It's a use, so you could, if a auto repair shop was a permitted use in the zoning district that you own property, you could submit an application to the zoning officer to get permission to use the property as an auto repair shop. And you could get that permission. And whether you actually start using it as an auto repair shop or not is completely up to you, but
I do remember we said it's non-transferable, right? You know, it
Right.
goes to that address, stays there, and
Right.
it goes on with if you sell the buildings, it continues. But I couldn't take it and move it to, down the block, because I think we've covered that. That it's for that particular address and particular usage,
it's an
correct?
annual
Right.
reminder, it's an annual permit to operate the short-term rental.
Okay,
But,
yeah, so
but you bring up another good legal point about the use. Because then you get into legal standards of abandonment, which are, it's pretty hard to prove a use has been abandoned, as we discovered, right, this year, talking about that in another property. So all great questions that we'll be ready to tackle between me, Sally, and Kristen.
Those are great questions.
Nicole, she's awesome. She brings out the best in me. There you go. Then some. I'm gonna practice that all the way home.
All right, we're going to continue on.
Okay, I do have another attachment to share for A. Bill. Our pivot tables. Points tracker. So in November, we had two cases that went to court for disruptive conduct, and both were found guilty, which means points were assigned. Okay, he's going to go down. We also had two cases also. So two were found guilty in November. We also had two cases in November that were dismissed for disruptive conduct. And we had one that was found not guilty. So I didn't know if you wanted to see the report of points next. That was the report of citations. Okay, so here's the report of points. If you could, yep. So these are the current report of points so far to date since we began focusing on this process back in September. So in November, you would have to go the other way. In November, two properties were issued 3 points each for public nuisance and noise, the last two property addresses listed. You can see the dates of November 7th and November 21st. So there were 3 points assigned each for those properties in November specifically. And then if we wanted to look at the report date pivot table dated 12/11.
When do these charts get put into the attachments? Because I swear I went through all the attachments on
You are-
Monday.
You are right. We
Okay.
updated it today. You're
Okay.
right. We're right. We
Really?
did update this today. We did.
Okay.
We updated it.
Do we have a standard of when attachments, because should be getting into here, Brian, since you're sitting out in the audience, do we have a standard of when attachments should be in here?
Yes, it's Friday.
Right, okay, all right, yeah. Okay.
So I did it.
Thank you, Mr. Metric.
All right.
So we did update it, Nicole. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm not,
No,
not,
you're not.
not yet.
You're
Still have
not.
a few years.
You're not. So here is our pivot tables for points. On the far left, you can see that so far 30 points have been issued and the addresses above. 315 South High has 6 points, the highest number of points, which warranted a letter that was sent demanding a corrective action plan. Which I believe has been received. I have to double check part of the deadline, which they need to outline how they're going to, fix this situation moving forward. The key number to keep in mind is 10, right? Once a property reaches 10 points, they have a loss of a rental license. So the second column, as you can see, is already at 6. Everyone else is still at 3. We've had, going to the right under infraction, we've had 10 public nuisance infractions that have resulted in points overall. That's what that table represents. And then below is the last 3 months and the sum of points issued. So September was 9, October was a total of 15 points, the highest month. November is 6 points issued. So again, for a grand total of 30 points, which equals the column to the left. So 30 points have been issued since September 6.
And so we'll keep monitoring this. I think that one place, 315 South High, is Brian Travis's favorite neighbor. Yes, no. He's shaking his head. And so these points that are accumulating now, at the very least, will hold and continue to accumulate until at least September next year. Is that my understanding?
I think the end of the cycle is actually June, isn't it? Ju- Am I confusing with the rental cycle? I thought it was the rental, June 30th. Isn't it June 30th is the end of the cycle, then it begins again July 1st? I don't remember. I think it's in the ordinance. I think it's June.
Check.
We'll double check. I think it's June 30th. The permit year, which is June 30th, it ends June 30th because the permit year starts again for rental permits July 1st. So it ends June 30th and then restart. Okay.
Excuse me, Chairperson, at 6, I see it's in red.
Mhm.
They've gotten a letter for how they're supposed to correct this. When does pain start?
Pain?
Yeah, when we start issuing, they have to start paying and start feeling pain. I was down there yesterday
Can I,
and they've done nothing.
so
I
the
need
disruptive conduct, well, I hear you. The disruptive conduct cases, I'm sorry to jump,
No, it's fine.
that have resulted in points where the judge is the defendant is either pled guilty or the judge found them guilty after argument. Every one of those cases has resulted in a $1,000 fine. So, and also when we write trash tickets, we just wrote our 3rd trash ticket on the same
Right.
property, and that is a $100 fine. So you're seeing the pain in the form of fines. We had an executive session about another pain point where someone was in violation of the student home and number and definition of family, and we issued a citation, and you're very familiar with what happened there. That's another form of pain in terms of those dollars. What's really going to hurt is if somebody gets to 10 points. And I'm going to pledge to everybody in this room and everybody listening, anybody gets to 10 points, they're going to get their license suspended. Period.
It's a
That's
very
gonna be
long
painful.
process to get there.
Yeah.
And once you get there, and the pain aspect is of the neighbors. It's not so much the borough itself. It's the neighbors have to endure the nonsense and, so. And if we don't, if the penalty isn't large enough, you just blow it off. But if the penalty is large enough, you sit up and take notice of it. The $1,000, that I'd pay attention to that one. But $100, I just kick that down the street and be done with it. So that's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm just happy to stand up here while you do the minutes because then I have Harb. Unless you want.
Yeah. Smart Growth Committee minutes, old business. Okay, we're good.
Oh, great. Okay, let's move on to Harb. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is 122-126 West Market Street, a roof replacement. The board meaning Harb, recommends an approval of a certificate of appropriateness as submitted with the following clarifications. At the owner's option, the roof color may be revised to another color other than black, such as bronze or gray. Next, we have 10 West Market Street, which is for external sign lighting. The board does recommend approval with the following clarifications. The project will include 3 gooseneck lights to be symmetrically arranged. 1 light at the center with side lights spaced at a 4 bracket bay interval. There will be no external electrical conduit or connections. Lights will be powered by concealed wiring run from the building interior. Next, we have 27-29 South Darlington Street, which is a porch replacement. The board recommends approval with the following clarifications. Number 1, the Trex material submitted is approved for use in replacing the existing wood porch floor. Number 2, the Trex porch floor will be picture framed at the porch perimeter. Number 3, if the porch floor is replaced with Trex, the existing mahogany front steps will also be replaced with Trex flooring to be consistent. Number 4, the Trex flooring must match the approximately 1-inch thick flooring sample presented at the meeting. And number 5, at the owner's option, the existing wood floor may be replaced in kind with T&G mahogany or with a slightly thicker 1-inch mahogany T&G flooring if desired. If the floor porch is replaced with mahogany, the existing mahogany steps may be retained. Next is 18-22 North High Street for a window replacement. The board recommends approval as submitted. Next is 22 West Minor Street for patio renovation. The board recommends approval with the following clarifications. Number 1, the brick fireplace structure and brick piers shall be capped with bluestone to minimize water infiltration. Brickwork shall be detailed to shed water. Number 2, the pergola will be constructed of natural wood material, stained or painted. The wood shall not be pressure treated material. Number 3, the wood lattice will be replaced in kind with natural wood, stained or painted. The wood shall not be pressure treated material. Finally, we have 113 West Market Street for a sign. The board does recommend approval for 2 new signs as presented with the following clarification. The building mounted painted sign, which is illustrated on page 10 of the application, and is larger than the allowable 12:2 sign size, is recommended for approval. Number 2, the wall mounted pane sign color scheme shall be gray/blue wall finish with a black text as illustrated on page 10 of the application. The lower recess main entrance portion of the facade shall be painted black. Number 3, the hanging sign shall be the version with a bat graphic profile and the message "Peer and Loathing" as illustrated on page 6 of the application. Colors to be black graphics text on a blue-gray background. That's it.
Some fancy hats and shirts.
Mhm.
Yeah. Old,
There you go.
Sterling Pig. Yeah. All right, any questions?
No,
We're good.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business? All right, we are adjourned at 6:34 PM. Oh, wait, are you here first? Yep.
If
Come
I
on.
may, I'll keep you. It's Gary. I'm coming. I'm one of the partners in North.
thing. Could you tell us who you are? and where
I
you're
am.
from?
I'm Gary Lorgus, and yes. I am a partner in the partnership which owns property identified as number 4, 18-22 North High Street. I'd like to make it clear that the application that I submitted through HARB and that came to you tonight for approval was for replacement of a window and also replacement of a roof. I believe in the narrative that was submitted, it explains that HARB did approve the replacement of the roof, but I want to make sure that all of a sudden we don't have things starting here that go up to council for final approval, and then all of a sudden I only have approval to replace the window when it's supposed to be to replace the window and the roof, the standing seam metal roof. That's 18-22 North High Street.
So I see both attachments and it says roof window in our notes here. So applicant's proposal, window replacement. And then High Street roof. Yeah, where's the roof? Hold on. Is it all on the same thing? I see 2 windows.
Yeah, it's all in the same application.
Where's it say roof in the attachments actually?
First page under findings, first and second paragraph, but it says Mr. Borges has previously appeared before HARB to discuss his planned roof and window repairs. It talks about the project includes replacing his front standing seam roof that faces High Street, as well as replacing the existing window in the single front roof dormer.
Okay. So it's in there. So you were just concerned that it wasn't mentioned roof and window when Sally was talking to us? And I guess going back to it, I see the proposal is window replacement. So you said roof only and our attachments say window only. So we can definitely clean that up for sure, but you're good. At least from our perspective. Well, we're good. We're sending it to next week. You'll be good most likely next week.
It should have said window and roof replacement. Yeah, from what I read.
I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we can definitely button that up a little bit for next other ones. All right, any other call outs or other business that anyone wants to bring up? All right, then we are adjourned at 6:38 p.m.